No, I had to go to the city and train a client and stuff like that. So I had to rush back because
Oh, cool.
traffic was crazy getting
Yeah.
back.
All
Hello,
right.
everyone. Welcome back to Masters Muscle Podcast. It's been so long. Glad to finally have you back, Vinny. We're at episode 34. And tonight we're with a bang. We have our 2013 North American champion. He has placed sixth in both the Arnold and the Olympia and is kind enough to spend an hour with us tonight. Vin, who am I talking about?
What's your name again? Akim Williams. Yeah, man, it's really cool to have you on the podcast. On Wednesdays and Fridays, I train with Juan, and I get a chance to train. Almost, we do the same stuff every Wednesday and Friday. Leg day on Wednesdays and back on Fridays, and I get to see Akeem train, and it's pretty inspiring to train next to a guy like Akeem who moves a lot of weight. And it's funny because when Akeem's training, he's so calm and so relaxed and so chill. And oh, it's true, and it sends a good vibe to everybody in the gym, I think. So welcome to the show. Welcome to Masters of Muscle.
Oh, thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. So first question I'm going to ask you is, because I don't know this, where originally are you from, and how long have you always been in the United States? Like, I don't even know.
Well, my background, I have a Caribbean background, but I'm originally from Brooklyn,
You
New
were born
York.
and raised there?
Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if you were, born in the Caribbean. You have your families there.
Yeah. Well, I have a brother that still lives in Brooklyn, and my mom is back in the islands and stuff like that.
Okay,
So
cool,
Caribbean background.
nice. I know that you go visit a lot.
Yeah.
Yes, I wasn't sure if you were born there.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Akeem, talk to us about your entrance into bodybuilding, weightlifting. I mean, where did that all begin?
That began in undergrad at college. One thing led to the next. I was playing basketball, got cut from the team, and I just used bodybuilding as a stepping stone to give me some, not really bodybuilding, but lifting, I should say, because I wasn't really, I didn't give a crap about bodybuilding back then. I just like lifting weights. So that was just the transition from basketball to just finding something else to do to occupy my time, basically.
Cool. What got you thinking about actually making the transition to stepping on stage?
Well, I actually, I think one day I was heading home from the gym and I got on the bus and I think MTA bus. Back in the days they had the Metro cards and stuff.
Oh
I'm
Hmm.
yeah.
not sure if they still have Metro cards, but I reached out to put the Metro card into the slot for the bus, and I saw this lady. She was sitting right behind the bus driver, and she saw me, and she took one look at me, and she asked me if I compete. And I asked,
Okay.
my first reaction was compete in what? And she's like bodybuilding. At the time, I didn't know what bodybuilding was. So she gave me her business card, and she lived in Staten Island. So she's like, listen, I have somebody I want you to meet. Here's my business card. Please reach out to me. And hey, come to Staten Island. I want to introduce you to somebody. So I told a good friend of mine about it. And we decided to take a trip out to Staten Island. And then lo and behold, I met her husband, which is the legendary Leon Brown.
Oh
Oh
He
yeah.
sure.
pa- yeah, he passed away in 2013. So God rest his soul. But I met her husband for the first time, and then I found out that he was also training partners with Arnold back in the days.
Yep.
Yep.
So he came up. He was he was really pissed off because I am not sure if he thought that she didn't have an eye for bodybuilding, but he came out pretty pissed off because she interrupted his workout for him to come take a look at me because she was so excited for him to see like what I look like and stuff like that. So I remember him coming on the floor and very pissed off about like she interrupting his workout and stuff like that. And he came up with one of his friends. And the first reaction, I mean, I remember this like yesterday. They got on the gym floor in the middle of the gym, and he was like, "Can you strip?" And I'm like, "Strip?" He's like, "Yeah, can you strip down to your boxes?" And I'm like, "Hell no." So one of the gentlemen that he was with, he's like, "Listen, son, we're not gay. There's no funny things. We just want to see what you look like." So I took the trip all the way to Staten Island. So I'm like, you know what, fuck it. I guess I'll just peel off to my boxes. And then he stopped, he looked at me, he did a whole circle, and he's like, okay, we're doing a show this Saturday. He's like, this coming weekend, He took one look at me. He's like, let's go do a show out in Pennsylvania this Saturday. Now that show happened to be Bill Grant Classic. I don't know if you guys know Bill. You guys should know Bill
course.
Grant. Yeah.
He's been on the show.
Yeah. So that show happened. Bill will tell you this as like he always remember this too. Show happened to Bill Grant Classic out there in Pennsylvania, Allentown, Pennsylvania. Now, mind you, I did not know anything about bodybuilding. I didn't know how to pose. I never dieted in my life before. I never did any of that. But I felt like, okay, you know, this guy here is telling me he could do a show. So I decided to show up. I didn't even have posing trunks. I remember I had to buy a posing trunks when I got up there. And I went up there and I was very hesitant to get on stage because I didn't know how to pose. I didn't know what the hell I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
But the girl that I was dating at the time, you know, she got up. She usually off on the weekends, and she got up and she drove me all the way out there. So she was a little bit pissed when I got up there and I said, I'm not getting on stage. And she's like, listen, man, I drove all the way to Allentown, Pennsylvania. Like, you're going to get on that stage. And I did. I sucked it up and I did. And I remember looking at the guy next to me and doing the same thing that he was doing because I didn't know how to pose. Leon didn't teach me how to pose. Like, he just told me we were doing the show. And I got up there and just got on stage.
What year was this?
I think that was 2010, I think it was, or 2011.
Okay.
So what were you weighing then?
I can't even tell you. I want to say I think they put me in maybe heavyweight, but I can't even remember what weight I weigh. Well, like heavyweight, I can't remember what weight I weigh. But all I remember is I was looking at the guys next to me, see what they did, because I was the last person to hit the shot. So I would see what they did first, and then I would mimic what they did.
That's great.
But I won the whole thing, man. I won the whole thing. I met a friend of mine. To this day, we're still friends. His name is Sean. Also, I can't remember his last name. I always know about Sean. But we're friends to this day. And every time I see him at show, he always remember that day because I came up there and everybody was just like, "Who the fuck is this guy?"
That's awesome.
And I literally I won the whole thing. So it was from then that I kind of got hooked to body because I thought it was so easy. Never dieted, never trained like a bodybuilder, and I was actually winning shows. So that's how I kind of got hooked on it.
So were all these guys you competed against, were they all pissed off? Look at you like a newbie just coming on. Who the hell is this guy?
Yeah, they were all pissed off. They were all pissed off because I remember I spoke to Sean after the show. And when I got up there, I was looking at all these guys. I'm like, holy crap, look at these dudes, man. And he said, when I got backstage and I peeled off, they're like, who the hell is this guy?
Those stories you never forget those.
Yeah, man. I remember being so proud that day because I got up there and I walked out, and that's when they give you like really big trophies and stuff like that. I remember walking away with so much hardware. It was crazy. Like I couldn't believe it.
And then after that, shortly after that, you met Oscar, right?
No. After that, I did a show in Brooklyn because back with the Brooklyn Grand Prix, they used to give you a jacket, like a leather jacket that said Brooklyn on the back of it.
Nice.
So I wanted that jacket pretty bad, and that was my second show. And I started training with Leon a little bit more and everything like that, and we decided to go do the Brooklyn show. And I looked amazing. I won my class, but they didn't give me the overall.
Oh, really?
They gave it to a bodybuilder that he was really good at the time. I'm not gonna lie to you. He was big, light heavyweight guy. He looked like a pro. So they gave it to him. He won the light heavyweight and he won the overall. But I told myself, I could beat him. So I remember that, oh God. I remember I went, because I didn't know, I really didn't know what I was doing. So you know how they say Subway eat fresh?
Yeah.
And Subway is supposed to be healthy? I figured since Subway, they had the whole motto of eating fresh and being healthy and everything like that, I was like, all right, I'm going to go on a Subway diet. And I ate nothing but Subway chicken breast and bananas for 2 weeks between the Brooklyn show and the Eastern USAs. And I came in shredded at about 198 point something. And I was in the same class as that guy that just won the overall. And I beat him at that show.
That's hilarious.
I beat him at that show. That was one of my proudest moments because I know I'm like, I could beat this guy. Because I was so pissed off that he won that jacket. And to this day, me and him are still friends. So, it was a little bit of a rivalry between me and him because, he beat me at the Brooklyn show. I wanted to beat him at the Eastern USAs.
That's great.
Yeah.
You should have reached out to Subway for a sponsorship back then.
Nah, I don't know what I was thinking back then. I just went off of the whole commercial stuff and the advertisements and stuff like that. And I thought like, I mean, it worked because I ate nothing but chicken breasts and I think bananas. I think that's I ate that like every day, all day. That's all I ate for a whole week.
That was similar to me when I was first got into it. I ate fish fillet sandwiches from McDonald's. It was fish. I just thought I didn't know any better.
Yeah, exactly. You don't know any better, and you see all these commercials saying that it's healthy and like So you if you don't know anything about bodybuilding, you tend to just go that route.
I have a similar story about Leon. Leon and I met many years ago, and it was I think it was 1988, 87, 88, and Leon was very intelligent.
Yeah,
he taught me a lot about aminos. This was before we had aminos in powder form, and you can sip on them during your workout. So yeah, he sat me down one day and just talked about his amino diet that he would use when he would train for shows. And I was like, "What are you talking about?" Because I never applied amino acids to a workout. He was the first person to ever teach me anything like that. So it was pretty cool.
Okay. Yeah, man. If it wasn't for Leon and his wife, I wouldn't have ever know what the hell bodybuilding was. So I always give the credit to them because they introduced me to the sport.
Yeah, Leon and his wife, they were pretty eccentric people. But if you got to know them, they knew a lot about bodybuilding. They were very knowledgeable.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was a very interesting woman. And it's sad that he's passed on now. So how did you meet? Fast forward to I just said his name.
Oscar.
Well, I didn't meet Oscar until I went to after I did that show out in Brooklyn. I met up with Dave Palumbo.
Okay.
And got in contact with him, and he saw my potential, and he took me under his wing, and he taught me a lot. So I always have to give credit to Dave too, because in the beginning of my career and everything like that, he was there for me. He gave me a lot of exposure with RX Muscle. I remember I used to be on RX Muscle every week.
Oh, wow.
I would do shows and everything like that for him, so, and all the bros of his pros and everything like that. So we formed a really good relationship. And so I always give credit to Dave. He really helped me out a lot in my bodybuilding career, my bodybuilding journey. So I got my pro card with Dave.
Oh wow!
I turned pro with Dave. Dave was the one that helped me to turn pro. But I didn't meet Oscar until I want to say 2016, 2017, I believe. When I came back from Kuwait, I think that's when me and Oscar linked up.
Okay.
Yeah, because I know that you had some crazy stories about how hard he trains, and I know I experienced it once. I trained with him in Brooklyn, and those workouts from Oscar are brutal.
Yeah.
Is that Oscar Arden?
Yes, Oscar Arden.
Yeah, I remember from Kai days.
Yeah, you don't walk away from those workouts without wanting to puke.
So Akim, working with Dave, did he have you on a low carb diet? Because I know he was very popular for that. But what was your diet like?
We started on low carbs, but eventually you realize that like the low carb stuff didn't really work for me. So he never really put me on no keto diet type stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, we always kept like some kind of carbs in my diet. The first time I made it to the Olympian, I think my first pro win was with Dave also.
Oh, nice.
Nice. You had mentioned recently in the gym that you're going to get ready for the Arnold.
Well, I mean, I can't say that because I didn't get picked yet and the list didn't come out yet. So the goal is to make it back on an Arnold stage. So, I'm keeping my fingers crossed that I get picked to do the 2024 Arnold.
How are you, Akim? Because was it a shoulder injury or what was it again? I don't remember.
Yeah, my labrum and also my bicep tendon was partially torn.
Okay.
So my labrum was completely torn and the bicep was partially torn. So got both of those things fixed. And it's been a journey coming back, getting a little bit older. So, the body is not responding the same way. You got to work a little bit extra harder now. Before when you're younger, you could just do whatever and your body just responds. I think when you get older, it's a little bit harder.
How old are you now?
I'm 39.
Oh, geez.
You wanted to talk about shoulder recovery? Talk to Vin. He's the expert.
Yeah. Well, I wish I wasn't, but I have 14 anchors throughout both my shoulders.
Wow.
Took me a couple of years to get back into it.
Wow.
But what's cool about you, Akim, is like I have that like I guess it's a Jersey thing. Growing up watching Rich Gaspari train and that crazy attitude in the gym of like just really hitting the weights hard and being intense. And then being at Strong and Shapely on Wednesdays and Fridays, training right next to you. You're with your crew doing legs, and I'm with Juan doing legs, and then we're doing back on Fridays. And what you taught me in the past year, just seeing you, is to have that. And I say this seriously, have that calm demeanor, just hitting the weights hard, but also you guys have fun doing it. And wasn't it like I think it was last week somebody had said, Juan had said something like, somebody mentioned like, you don't train hard enough. Yeah. And I'm like, if you're standing next to Akim, you know he's training hard enough. The guy's got like, so when Juan and I, Sean, when we're done with say leg press, we got like 7 plates on each side, and we're done. And I say, Akim, do you want to use this to warm up with? He's like, yeah, just leave it. Just leave it. Yeah.
Is that the warm up set for 15?
Yeah. I mean, he goes up to like 14 plates, and one day you had that woman sit on the leg press. You went up to Janine, how much do you weigh? And you're not heavy enough. You got to grab somebody else. But it's great. It's great because it's like you in my own comeback, thinking of like, hitting hard and that grunting, and then you guys are over there like just having a chill time, training really hard, but not that it balls out, but it's just like just chill, and it's like reset my own button to train that way, and I thank you for that.
Yeah, of course, man. I think a lot of people tend to believe that you got to scream. If you're not screaming and making a whole bunch of noise, you're not training hard, Yeah. But for me, I've always trained in silence. Like I don't make any noise, or even if I remember when I used to squat 8, I think the most I ever did was like 840. I used to squat 840. I put 840 on my back and I wouldn't make a sound. I would go up and down and not one sound. And people used to always like, how? That's just how I did my training, and that's how I've always learned to train. I feel like making all that noise and everything like that, it just takes away energy. I'd rather use that energy to lift the damn weight,
Well, I never made any noise. I've never been a grunter or screamer, but I'm just talking about that attitude that you have.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool to. I mean, when people come up to me, I'll be at Powerhouse working. I'm like, hey, I saw you videoed Akim's workout, or Akim was in the background. How was that? I'm like, it's just so cool to train around somebody who has the desire you do. And there's so many people around us that don't even know who you are, and it's like crazy. Like you see all these young kids training, they don't know what they're doing, and I'm like, I said to Juan, like, forget coming over to me. Why aren't they going over to Akim asking him for advice? And they never do. They never do.
Akim, do you think it's just a Caribbean kind of culture, maybe? Just that kind of relaxation, even though you're walking balls to the wall, but kind of like that Zen relaxation, maybe?
No, I don't think it had anything to do with culture. That's just how I've always been, man.
Okay.
I feel like, I just, I make it pleasant to train,
Yep, that's a good word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
840-pound squat, it's pleasant.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, man.
So when do you find out, or how do you, do you have to go actually apply for the Arnold Classic?
Yeah, I'm hoping I get some news this coming week. Because the Olympia is already over with, so I'm hoping we get some news as soon as possible, because I want to start this prep and, get back on that stage,
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Being on the Olympia stage, what were your thoughts on, give us the honest opinion of the results 2 weeks ago with Derek and Hadi, if you don't mind, or did you follow it?
Yeah, I did follow it, and it's kind of hard to give, because me being on that stage, and I'm sure Vinny could attest to this, it's so different when you're in person, when you're there in person.
Yep.
So I always hate to give my judgment on a show that I did not go to see live, or like my eyes itself. Like pictures always look amazing.
Sure.
Some people could look amazing in pictures, and then in person you don't see the same thing.
Or vice versa.
Exactly. So going off the pictures, I would say it was close between Derek and Hadi. I like certain things on Hadi, and I like certain things on Derek. Okay. If I was to be fair, from what I saw in photos and a few videos, I love Derek's back better, and I love Hadi's front better.
Yeah, I agree.
If that makes any kind of sense.
No, it does.
So if that's the case, then it comes down to a judge's decision. Like, okay, what are we going to go with? Better back or somebody that looks better from the front. And
Mhm.
9 times out of 10, the judges always go with a better back.
Yep.
So I
Yeah.
understand why they would give it to Derek.
Being a bigger guy yourself, what are your thoughts on Samson in general?
Oh, he's awesome, man. He has a really good physique, and he over the past couple of year, maybe a year, he's come on really strong and made a name for himself. And I feel like he keeps chunking away. It's only a matter of time that he's going to be in that 1-2 spot.
Yep. Yeah. So when you became a pro, what was the goal for yourself? A top 10 at just at a show, win a smaller show, top 5 at Olympia? I mean, did you think that far?
I definitely I would like if I could get to the Arnold or even the Olympia and get one of those wins, that would be a career for me.
Sure.
Like just get one of those, whether it's an Arnold Classic win or Olympia win, that would be a very productive career for me.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So when you start a prep, are you one of these guys that say, okay, I got to start with X amount of carbs, X amount of protein, fats, and then I chop away as the weeks go on, add cardio? Like, are you systematic like that, or do you approach it like you approach your training?
I think I approach it with add a certain amount of carbs, certain amount of protein, and then chop away as the weeks get closer.
What's a normal carb day for you in the off season?
I really don't. I don't follow a diet in off season at all.
Okay.
I've never been one to follow a diet, dog. I'm not gonna lie to you, Vinny. I feel like, I'm doing this, especially like contest prep and stuff like that. Why would I want to just give my body, give my mind, mental a break and everything like that in the off season and eat whatever the fuck I want?
No, I totally appreciate it.
That has always worked for me because I know once I start my prep, my mind, everything is fresh. Like I'm going in there basically knowing that okay, things are going to change. And I feel like sometimes when you follow such a strict diet in the off season, that when you try to turn it on for pre-contest, it's kind of hard because mentally you're already like drained because you've been regimented for so long. So I always like to try to reboot a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of guys today don't understand that.
Like I'm not saying like eat ice cream every day or eat pizza every day,
I know.
in the off season, but like I'm not going to sit there in the off season and like, weigh out everything I eat and everything like that.
I just saw it's long, like it's over 2 hours of Jay Cutler and Sean Ray on Cutler's podcast, and Sean Ray goes on to say, and this is the same thing I do. Because I've never counted a calorie in my life. I don't even know what I don't know how to answer you or anyone like how much you eat. I don't know. And Sean was saying that when he trained for the Olympias, he never knew what he was eating. He didn't know. He would just grab a chicken breast and potato and eat it. He didn't know how much he was eating. And so I think a lot of guys who are more intuitive, they come almost in better condition because of, I think, going backwards. The off season is more relaxed.
Yeah,
and that's my approach too. And I think that if you're still so strict all the time, eventually you're going to burn out.
Exactly. And I always like to. I mean, that's one thing that always worked for me. I always look at my body like I am a sports car. And if you put your foot on the gas 7 days a week, 365 days a year, what do you think is going to happen?
Absolutely.
Eventually, you're going to blow the engine.
Yeah.
So sometimes you got to step back a little bit.
Yeah.
And let body parts heal up, mentally and everything like. Because a lot of people don't understand. Bodybuilding is a lot to do with the mental. It's a very tough mental sport. And sometimes that's why a lot of people can't diet. That's why a lot of people can't prep for a show. Mentally, it's a very, very tough sport. And if you don't have that mental, awareness or that mental discipline, it's very, very tough to do bodybuilding.
Yes.
Like even with winning and losing, I've seen some competitors that, as amateurs, they win a couple of shows. And then the first time they suffer a big loss, that's it. They never compete again.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you got to be mentally tough to do this thing.
Yeah.
Is there a favorite body part you like to train besides legs?
Well, it's funny because when I first started bodybuilding, I was a pretty strong bencher, and especially benching and shoulders. I used to love training chest and doing shoulders. But as time went on, and this little nagging injury here and there and stuff like that, I kind of gravitated more towards legs.
Legs.
So now legs is like my favorite thing.
Akim, going back to prep, how long is your prep? 16 weeks, 12 weeks? What is generally average for you?
Average for me, I like doing a 16-week prep.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's the most beneficial to me, because it's nice and slow. You don't have to like do a shitload of cardio in the beginning and stuff like that to speed up. You could take your time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as you get closer, do you manipulate food or do you manipulate cardio or a little bit of both?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
Yeah.
In this era of bodybuilding, where there's so many gurus and coaches and so much information all day long on social media, how do you keep grounded in knowing what works for you, in opposed to saying, oh, this guy looks like a freak and these people are doing this? And how do you say, okay, I'm going to stay in my lane?
I've always done that. Whenever I decide to do a prep, I just put the blindness on. I don't care about anybody else but me. Like sometimes I don't even give a shit about like stay off social media or like people posting and stuff like that. I just keep those blindness on and just focus on me, because you could only change what you have control over. You can't change what anybody else is doing,
Right.
And sometimes you might look to them for motivation or stuff like that, but what worked for that person doesn't necessarily going to work for you. So it's all about like knowing who you are as a person and knowing what works for you.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You were talking earlier about getting older and stuff, and now you're not even 40 yet. I'm 56, and I'm getting inspired by you, watching you. And but there's things I can't do anymore.
Yeah, same here, man. Same here. Like I think in the beginning of my career, I did a lot of crazy shit, man. A lot of crazy shit. I remember I used to do bros versus pros with Dave, and I would be like 2 weeks out pulling 700-800 pounds in deadlifts.
Jeez.
Doing the competitions and stuff like that.
Or 2 weeks out from the show.
2 weeks out from a show, and I would go pull 800 pounds, age 15.
That's crazy.
Squatting 700-800 pounds and stuff like that. So I did a lot of crazy shit, and unfortunately, now you definitely you feel it, man. You feel it,
Yeah.
But I think everybody starts that way. Is just strength and muscle. Nobody thinks about the overall end result. It's the nature of the beast, I guess.
Yeah.
But I've seen you train, and you don't train sloppy or you don't throw caution to the wind. You're pretty deliberate on how you perform your reps. And I can't see your wear and tear is because of years of training, not because of being disrespectful to the weights or to your body.
Akim, you're a strong guy. Do you generally do higher reps anyway, or are you kind of a larger weight, lower reps?
It's funny you said that, because going back to Oscar was the one that introduced me to high reps. Yeah, I remember like in the beginning, I would go to Oscar's gym when we first started training, and I would squat 5-6 plates and get like 10 reps. And I'm thinking I'm doing something. And Oscar looked at me and shake his head. And he's like, all right, next week, we're going to do 5-6 plates with 20 reps.
Jeez.
I remember one time he put 7 plates on that bar, and he wanted me to get 20 reps with it. I got to 12 reps, and my body was just like, nah, fuck this, we're done. Like literally, mentally, I was tough and I wanted to do it, but my legs was just like, hell nah, we're not going anymore. I think I got to 12 reps, and that was it. 12 reps with 7 plates. I think that's the craziest thing I ever did.
And the first time I trained with him, I thought I trained hard. And I go to Brooklyn, I meet him, and I don't know. I couldn't tell you what happened to me. Next thing I know, I'm outside throwing up.
Yeah.
It was freezing outside, and I had to take my sweatshirt off. I'm in a t-shirt. It's freezing, but I didn't care because I don't know what happened to me. I was like, how did it go from training here? And he brought me right up in a way, like different technique, different.
Yeah. He would, if you think you're strong, training with Oscar, he will humble you really quick.
Yeah.
And I would not even with heavy weights neither.
No.
He will humble you with light weights.
Yeah, because I remember he said to me, "What can you get for 10?" I said 315. He said, "All right, we're gonna do 275 for 20." And I'm thinking that can't be that bad. Was I wrong?
Yeah.
So what was Oscar's background? Did he ever? I know Oscar from his time that he trained Kai, but did he ever compete?
Yeah, he competed a few times. He competed a lot,
Okay.
actually. Even the time when he was training with Kai, he was competing. He was training to compete and stuff like that. But unfortunately,
okay.
you know, he had like a lot of knee issues and stuff like that, and that kind of just stopped him from. And I mean, I think eventually he just put more of the focus into training Kai, and kind of
Yep.
just took a backseat to the whole bodybuilding thing. But
Oh,
if you look at
interesting.
if you look at amateur pictures of Oscar and everything like that, he was a great amateur, man. You know,
Really? Okay.
he had a really great physique. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, good physique.
he always had a really good back.
Okay.
Yeah, that was one of his strong points. His back was impressive. You know,
Interesting.
he was a student of the game when it comes to bodybuilding. He studied everything about bodybuilding. You know.
Interesting.
Hmm.
So, Akim, was there, when you look at the landscape, was there anybody physiques that you looked at when you started and said, "Oh, I'd love to have a physique like Flex Wheeler, or Chris Cormier, or whoever it may be," or is
Well,
it
I
just kind of
mean,
I'm going to be the best I can be?
growing up, yeah, the first bodybuilder, believe it or not, that I ever saw when I got introduced to the whole bodybuilding thing was Johnny Jackson.
Okay.
That was the first bodybuilder I ever. Because I remember I had a friend of mine, and he was looking at the magazine, and he pulled out a picture, and I think it was a spread with Johnny Jackson, and that was the first person I ever saw. And then eventually, I got introduced to like Ronnie and stuff like that. Because I mean, believe it or not, I haven't been in bodybuilding that long. You know, 2010 when I got introduced to bodybuilding.
Yes.
Like
Okay.
before that, I didn't know anything but the whole sport of bodybuilding. I know who Arnold was because of the movies and stuff like that, but when it comes to like the whole like concept of bodybuilding and who bodybuilders were and everything like that, I had no idea what it was. You know?
Interesting.
Yeah.
I think the first time we ever met was at Diamond
Hmm.
or during Sean Ray's.
Yeah.
What did he call it at the time? I can't remember. Um,
I can't remember what it was, but it was something to do with Sean Ray. Would it Meet the Pros or something like that? It was called
Train with the Pros. Meet with the
Pros or
Pros.
something. Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, those are pretty cool. Though. He had
Hmm.
those every year.
Hmm.
Yeah, I remember
And
meeting you there, and everyone was like, "Who the hell is this dude?" Because you were just kind of new on the scene.
Yeah. Yeah.
and you had just started obviously before social media, and now you're into the thick of social media. So I don't know if you've felt like the shift. I know Vinny talked a little bit about social media earlier, but I don't know if you starting with there was nothing there, and now transitioning into social media everywhere. So I
Hmm.
don't know what your thoughts on it.
Well, the social media thing, I got on it kind of late because I remember when a few of my friends got on the whole Instagram stuff, I was very hesitant to it because I'm a very private person, you know, and I was very like reluctant to like go the whole social media route and stuff like that. But then eventually, I warmed up to it and realizing that this is the route that bodybuilding is going. Pretty much everything is going social media, so you just got to
Yep.
you got to change with the times, and
You've got a ton of
it's
followers, so people. So it's
yeah.
got to be people got to love you.
I mean, it is a good thing because you get to interact with people. I met a lot of great people through social media and everything like that. So it's a blessing for me. It is.
Okay.
Yeah, I see it as a good. Some people
Yep.
get a little bit too attached to it and use it for all the wrong reasons and stuff like that. But for me, it's been a blessing.
Yeah.
Well, they spend too much time on it in between sets at the gym.
Basically, yeah. Or
Got it.
they get to social media and then they just feel their whole life story, like, and then they wonder
Yeah.
why people are talking crap about them.
Right. I just had a little procedure done. I had
Mhm.
I had a little surgery on Monday, and people
Mhm.
I was talking to, they're like, "Why didn't you post the pics on Instagram?" I'm
See?
like, "I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. That's
Mhm.
so stupid. I'm not gonna like say, oh, I was in the hospital. I like when people like post a
Mhm.
picture of in a hospital bed and like pray for me.
Mhm.
You're like, what are you
Yeah,
doing?
exactly.
Like, and not
Exactly.
even tell you why they're there, and then you come to
Ex-
find out they had like something like they're it's so small
Mhm.
and nothing. It just need attention,
Mhm.
and like and if I posted the pictures of what I had a lipoma removed from my
Mhm.
armpit,
Mhm.
and it was 10 centimeters, and it was big,
Mhm.
and they dug and dug and dug, and if I put that picture up, people would be throwing up.
Exactly.
Should I I'll
Akeem,
post
what do
it
you
later.
what do you do for the health of your body? I mean, obviously you train hard, but do you cryotherapy, massages, cupping? What do you do like outside?
I finally in the beginning. I think that was one of my biggest mistakes in the beginning of my bodybuilding career. I never took care of my body in terms of like therapy, in terms of like cupping, massages, and stuff. I never did any of that. I would just keep going balls to the wall over and over. But
Okay.
recently, since my shoulder injury, I hooked up with Dr. Gary Ashnoff. You know,
Okay.
he's a chiropractor, physical therapist. He does it all.
Where's
And
he out of?
he's right out of Montclair, New Jersey.
Okay.
You can look him up on Instagram, Dr. Gary Ashnoff. I met with him. I met him through I think I was training at Signature at the time, and he gave me his business card, but I never took him up on it. Or it was until, like, you know, I got injured and everything like that, and we developed a really great relationship now. So right now I go see him like once a week, and he's been
Okay.
helping me like tremendously come back. Because I remember before started seeing him, whenever I do like bench press, everything would hurt. And I remember after a few sessions with him, I think the most I got back up to, I think I was doing 200-pound dumbbells for some
Wow.
reps. And that's all because of him and all the therapy that he has done on my shoulders and everything like that.
Do you notice now that you're approaching your 40s? Do you notice that you need more time off in the gym
Yes.
than you had in the past?
Yeah, definitely. The recovery time is a little bit slower now, actually.
And does it take longer for you to warm up?
Yeah. It's kind of hard admitting all this stuff because, you know, being a
Nah,
bodybuilder, you always feel like you're a Superman.
of course.
And now you're realizing, like, hey, like, you know, the rules apply to you too, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, Father Time is not, you know, he don't pick and choose who he wants to attack. You know, eventually he's gonna come knocking on your door.
Yeah, I experienced it. So it's like when I train with Juan, you always see me there before he gets there.
Yeah.
Warm up
Hmm.
because he warms up pretty quick, and I don't. It takes me about 25 minutes. So
Hmm.
I'm there like doing extensions, leg curls, leg press.
Yeah.
I'm going through a whole little workout
Yeah,
before he
before
gets
you
there.
even start. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Akeem, are you accepting of it? Or are you just saying, well, I'm still in pain, but I'm gonna go to the gym anyway? Or are you mentally saying, okay, I'm gonna take a day off here, I'm gonna relax? Can you get over that?
Lately, I started taking a day off mentally. Like, okay, I know my limits now. Like, you know, it's hard to accept it, but if you have to. If you want to stay in this sport and you want to keep doing what you love, you have to. You have to take a back seat sometime.
You know, I think the newer generation is confused on the term, the meaning, the phrase, if you will, no days off. No days off really means no days off from your nutrition, no days off from recovery, no days off from training. But then there are scheduled days that you have to take off from the gym so you can move forward.
Yeah.
You see so many young guys and women that are training today that never take a day off. And, you know, being 56 years old and trying to explain to a 25-year-old that you need a day off, it's going to catch up to you. They roll their eyes at me, you know. They don't
Because
take me serious.
it's so hard for them to understand that eventually you're going to get to that age and then the body's going to basically tell you like, hey, buddy, you know,
Yeah.
it's so hard to like explain that to a lot of kids. Like I see some kids sometimes in Strong and Shapely doing like crazy form. And I'm like, if he has no idea like 10, 15 years from now, how that's going to affect him, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
But they don't see it like that.
Yeah, you not being old, I'm the old guy, so I'm almost invisible sometimes.
Well, and Vin, you talked about it in the past that you used to be on whatever 4 or 5 day sessions, and you said you feel better when you're working 3 days. You feel like you have better rest and recoup and recovery.
Yeah, and now too, like, well, I'm a little on downtime now because I got to heal up, but I've been banging away since 2019 with all these master shows, and I've noticed that now, 5 years later, I'm starting to say, oh, maybe I should train every other day sometimes. Maybe I should train 2 on, 1 off, not 3 or 4 on, 1 off, because I don't recover as fast.
What are your thoughts, Akeem, on when you do cardio, fasted cardio, or does it mean anything to you?
Yeah, I like doing fasted cardio.
Okay.
Yeah. It's been a staple. It's been a staple of mine for a long time now. So much so that if you come to my apartment, pretty much my whole apartment is filled with cardio equipment.
When you're in prep, what's the most you'll do during a day or in a session? Are you 2 a day for 45 minutes, or are you good with 1 a day with everything? If everything's working right.
If everything is working right, I like doing 1 a day. But you know, if you got to speed up the process, so 2 a day usually works really good for me.
Okay.
How long in a session do you go?
Oh God, like I remember one time I was doing like 3 hours a day, man.
Oh,
yeah. So I've gone the extra mile with cardio, you know. But most of the times it's like 45 and 45. If
What's
everything is working well, 45 and 45.
Are you one of these guys who switch over from, oh, I don't eat any red meat during prep, I eat more fish and chicken, or
I
do you?
can't do fish at all. Like fish
I'm
is
the
the
same
enemy
way.
for me.
It's disgusting to you? You don't like fish at all?
Yep, I think we lost him. It's okay. I'm the same way though. I'm not a fish person either.
He's frozen.
Yeah, it's okay.
Back on.
Hopefully he'll be back soon here. But I know
Yeah.
you're a big advocate of fish.
Well, I don't enjoy it, but I do it only because it works for me, And what?
I was gonna say, what is your fish of choice, Vin? I know you've probably said it numerous times, but when you're in prep,
Cod.
okay.
If Chilean sea bass, things like that. I don't like tilapia, just for the sheer fact that what it is, it's a bottom feeder.
Yep.
Let me text Akim and let him know that. Hold on.
He's back. Hold on.
Back.
Yeah, we got him.
I have no idea what happened.
That's okay.
Is it me or is it?
No, I think you froze up. But we were asking, you don't like fish. I think what we got right before you disappeared.
Yeah, I can't do fish at all, especially with dieting. My body works better with red meat.
But you just don't like fish? It's gross to you?
No, my body just don't. I think once I start eating fish, I start retaining a lot of water.
Okay.
I have no idea why.
Oh, interesting.
I think maybe at some point I would have to take a test to see if I'm allergic to fish. I might be, but in the sense, I just I just keep it out of my diet. I function really good with turkey and red meat, eggs.
Same exact.
Yeah.
Same exact thing. I like making turkey burgers.
Mm-hmm.
I can't.
What about orange roughy? I know you mentioned cod a minute ago. Do you eat orange roughy?
I can't find orange roughy.
I don't think I ever had it actually.
Because I know Jay Cutler used to rave about it because I guess there's a good amount of fat in it, so it's kind of absorbed very slowly.
Yeah.
But it's also not so, not to be gross here, but if you eat enough orange roughy, you got to bring extra underwear wherever you go. I'm dead serious. It's not. It makes you look great, but if you don't bring extra underwear, you're in trouble.
Plus, I'm so like, especially with all that mercury and everything like that with the fish. It's something you got to be very careful with, man.
Yeah, I can see that.
I've known a few people that got mercury poisoning from eating too much fish and stuff like that. So.
Do you like sushi?
No, I'm not I'm not a fish guy at all, man. Yeah, I don't.
What about the other animals from the sea, like lobster and things like that, or is it just anything from the sea?
Yeah, I like lobster. I ate lobster before.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of people have a problem with fish. Just training for a show. I don't think a lot of people eat fish. Like back in the day, back in the 90s, it was really huge to eat canned fish. We had this product, a company called Season, and I would get seasoned tuna. I'd get the 6-ounce cans and probably eat 3-4 of those a day.
Wow.
I'd smell like tuna after a while, but you get rid of stuff because there's nothing in it.
Akim, talking about crazy meals here during prep, maybe what's the craziest thing you've ever concocted, eaten, put together, whether it's a shake or an actual meal?
I mean, wow. I don't know. My diet's my meals are pretty clean, man. So I don't really think about anything like crazy, like chicken breasts, white rice, asparagus, some broccoli. My meals are really clean. Steak, white rice, steaks and potatoes, asparagus. Like they're very clean.
Well, if you're gonna, what's your go-to cheat meal?
It's funny because in the past it would be like burger, fries, but lately I feel like pizza has been helping me out a lot.
So if you get invited to the Arnold before, we're gonna go get some good pizza.
Okay.
So if you get invited to the Arnold, I think you had mentioned, would you go to, where was it, Spain or Brazil for the other Arnold?
Would you do all of them or just Columbus?
I would probably do Columbus, and maybe there's one right in the UK right after that. So maybe I'll do that one also.
Okay.
I would love to see you standing next to Samson.
Yeah. Well, I did. I stood next to him at the 2023 Arnold Classic,
Right.
where I came in sixth place. But the problem with that show was I didn't do well in the Olympia.
Mm,
Yeah, I didn't place top 10 in the Olympia, so it's kind of hard to justify me getting the look right next to him because he was sixth in the Olympia that year.
okay.
So even though I look better, and of course, I was able to beat guys that were top 10 in the Olympia at that Arnold, it was still kind of hard for me to get that look. I had to get back in the judges, kind of like in the judges' favor. But it was cool that I was happy with the results because I didn't do well in that Olympia at all, and for a fact to turn around from the Olympia, go straight to the Arnold and place top 6, then I was a win in my book.
You were still fresh off the injury, though, weren't you? Maybe
Yeah,
a year, a little bit less.
I was still injured. I didn't do the surgery. I waited until after the Arnold to do the surgery. So as soon as
Okay.
I finished doing the Arnold, that's why I didn't compete after that. As soon as I finished the Arnold, I went and got the surgery. So the whole time I was prepping for the Olympia and the Arnold, I was injured.
Oh,
But
interesting.
I still suck it out and I still did both shows because I didn't want to pull out. I didn't want. I started the prep and I'm like, you know what, I could finish this prep. So for
Okay.
the Arnold, I just sucked it up and started doing more therapy with Dr. Ashenoff and was able to do a little bit better for that show than the Olympia. I was able to train a little bit harder.
And what's your average stage weight?
Usually, I look my best like right around like the 260, 265 mark.
Wow, how tall are you?
About 5'10".
Wow, okay. I know you're big, but wow, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's very interesting the way things have shifted.
Mm-hmm.
We're seeing two 212 people
Mm-hmm.
in the top 1 and 2 spot for the Olympia. But now as we start to progress, it seems like the tall guys are coming back now with the Andrew Jacks, the Sampsons, obviously yourself. So
Yeah.
it's very interesting mix of people on the Olympia stage nowadays for the Open.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think we're seeing guys. At the end of the day, it's called bodybuilding.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's a weight class. Like I think Flex Lewis basically stopped competing because he couldn't make the weight anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think he wanted to do Open. I think he was done for a while, right? So now you got guys like Sean, who could probably he's won in the he won the Legion in the Open.
Mm-hmm.
He can stand next to those guys.
Mm-hmm.
I think if the 212, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is where I think if the 212 class wasn't invented, there would be no Sean Clarita.
No.
Because that mindset would never have been able to maximize the potential that he had.
Yeah.
Right? I don't think he could have thought, oh, I could be like that and be competitive. So now
true.
he's in the 212 winning.
Mm-hmm.
And this year he came in second, but I mean, the guy is clearly almost unbeatable. And those guys have a home, and but they're going into the Open and winning in the Open, the Olympia. So you start seeing guys in the 212 keep moving up now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who do you look forward to, competing against, Akim? You get invited to the Arnold. I mean, you've been on stage with obviously Nick and Samson and some of the other greats. Is there other people that are kind of in your book that I'd love to stand alongside, regardless of placing? I'd love to stand alongside of.
Well, I mean, I'm pretty much with everybody in the sport right now. I stand next to everybody already. So,
Okay.
I mean, only person I probably, when I sat next to everybody because I sat next to Derek, I sat next to Hadi. I've been next to like any of the top guys in the sport. So, I mean, to me, I don't really care. I've never backed down from a show. Like if it's a competition, I don't care who's entering the show. I'm gonna do it.
And how many pro shows have you won?
5, I think.
You won 5. The last one was the Tampa, right?
Yeah.
You won Tampa. You looked amazing in that show.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was like wow. When I saw you, like holy shit.
Yeah, I should have had at least about like maybe 10 or maybe 11 pro wins because there was some second places that I took that was just like.
Little suspect.
Exactly.
Well, this will be your breakout year again. Get back on track. Get into the.
I hope so, but I definitely want to head back to that Olympia stage and possibly do this bodybuilding thing for another 3 or 4 years. I think after that, I'll call it a career.
Cool.
So maybe another 3 or 4 years, I want to be done with it.
Well,
Akim, one of our listeners had asked, what's the most old school gym old school gym you have ever trained at?
Wow. I've been to a few really good old school gyms, Diamond Gym being one of them. There was also a gym in Brooklyn at the time, Fifth Avenue Gym. That was
Okay.
a pretty old school gym also. What other gyms that Oscar's Gym, the Dungeon. It's not as known as Diamond or Fifth Avenue Gym, but Oscar's Gym in the Dungeon. That was
Okay.
old school. That was a serious old school gym because there was only one mirror in the gym. One
Wow.
mirror. I kid you not. So if you didn't have your confidence, they ain't no looking in no mirror to try to see what you look like.
That's
Only
great.
mirror, only mirror we had in that gym was at the squat rack, and that was it.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So your motivation, you better get motivation somewhere. You're not walking around, poking your chest out, looking what you see, seeing what you look like in the mirror. Like, nah. Only time you can see yourself is when you're squatting.
Jeez.
Yeah. That was hardcore. No windows. There were no windows.
No
You know,
AC.
no AC, no windows, no AC. Matter of
Okay.
fact, there was no heat neither because I remember they had the heat pipes on the top of the roof, like the ceiling,
The
and
ducks. Yeah.
that's where the most of the heat came from. There was no
Okay.
like heaters on the like walls and stuff like that. Now, wintertime, you got to be hoodied up until you get really like warmed up. You could take your hoodie off and put a t-shirt on, but you're working out cold down there, man.
Yeah.
That was old school.
Have you trained anywhere on the West Coast? You
No,
been to California? Any of the gyms? No.
but the few gyms I trained in California, they were like chain gyms, like Golds, and
Okay.
um, what other gym? I can't remember what other one, but the few ones I trained, they were like more like, you know, chain gyms that like everybody like they all look the
Sure.
same. They're not like that hardcore. I would love to train at probably Ronnie Coleman, the Metroflex that
Oh,
Ronnie used
sure.
to train at. I would have loved to check that out.
It's pretty hardcore. I'm actually going to train there next month.
Okay,
Yeah, my nephew and I are going to the Dallas Eagles game.
okay,
Yeah, so we're going to take a Uber over there and train.
nice.
I have to laugh. I know you guys both work out at Strong and Shapely.
Mhm,
And so I trained with Vinny a couple of months ago, and he said,
mhm,
meet me at Strong and Shapely, but
mhm.
the name does not match the gym.
I
I mean, I thought
no,
the
you got
gym was great. I'm not, no disrespect to anybody. Great
yeah.
gym internally, great aura. But again, you
Uh,
hear Strong and Shapely, you think of, I don't know, almost like a Planet Fitness type of vibe. That's just me. I hate to say that.
Well, I can tell you that I was a part of the first crew that ever trained there,
Mhm,
and I knew Bob Bonham, and
mhm.
he named it. He wanted to have Strong and Shapely because not only were there a lot of men who competed and trained in there, but there were a lot of female bodybuilders that trained there. So that was where that balance came from.
Yep.
So.
Interesting.
I mean, it's Strong and Shapely. It's an awesome gym, man. I can't
Oh, I
complain.
loved it.
They have a lot of equipment in there that you're not going to find anywhere else. A lot of unique pieces of equipment that at that gym. And that's what I
Yep.
like about it. It's almost like a diamond gym also. Or even a Bev Francis. There are a lot of unique equipment that you're not going to find in any other gyms, like any of those chain gyms that you go to.
Yep.
Mhm.
As we wind down, Akim, obviously we're talking Arnold. Is there anything else that you're thinking about for next year? The New York Pro, any other shows
I
as
mean,
well, or is it kind of
that's a show I've never won, and I would definitely love to win it one day. I came as close as second before.
okay?
And I mean, you never know. We'll see. I'm trying to take it one step at a time.
Yep.
Let me get that honor qualification and do my best to get back and bring a respectable package to that show, and then take it from there. I don't like to just put a whole bunch of eggs in the basket and then you can't
Sure.
deliver. I want to take it one step at a time.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you think about the new qualifications of you have to win a show versus points now to make it onto the Olympia?
I don't like it, to be
Okay.
honest. Me being a product of the point system. I mean, I remember in 2019. I did about 7 shows, and I remember placing second place in probably like half of them, or even
Yeah.
more than half. I remember I was getting second every show I went to. I was getting second, so much
Okay.
so that I got so much points that the powers that be told me don't do another show. Like literally, like you're done. Don't do another show.
Yeah.
And I remember that year, and I went to the Olympia, and every single person that beat me that year, I beat them at the Olympia.
Wow.
and I went in on points, and I beat all of them, and I placed top 10 at the Olympia.
Cool.
So
I have a lot of
that's
Go
why I
ahead.
respect the point system, because even though you're going on points, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're not going to be those guys that beat you at the Olympia.
I have a lot of respect for you competing multiple times because I feel like that's a thing that's fallen to the wayside a little bit. I'm a product of the 90s. I used to love the
Mhm.
90s where you were guaranteed in every show a
Mhm.
Flex, a
Mhm.
Sean, or somebody like top tier,
Mhm.
where nowadays people are competing once or twice a year, or they do the Arnold and hopefully make the Olympia. So I have a lot of respect for you.
Mhm.
Obviously, I know what your body goes to, and utmost respect, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never been a competitor to shy away from competing. Doesn't matter who's doing the show. I've always like sucked it up and did it like I didn't care, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Because
cool.
Milos was like that, and I see Samson doing that now too. Samson's doing multiple shows, and good for him.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
All right. So, if you want to plug any of your sponsors or anything, where reach you?
Definitely. I always like always. I want to say a huge thank you to my sponsors, Muscle Meds. I've been with them for a while now, and I've developed a really great relationship with them, and they've always supported me, supported my bodybuilding journey, and nothing but love and respect and appreciation for them keeping me on board and keeping me as part of the team. So Muscle Meds, Gerard Dente, I want to say thank you so much. And if you follow us out there and they want to try a great product, tell them they have to go check out Arima Test. I don't
nice.
know if you can see it.
Yes.
It's basically an estrogen blocker and also increases testosterone. So a natural way to, if you want to increase your testosterone, you know, build a little bit more muscle. It's a great product to check out.
All right, cool. And what about Instagram, Facebook?
Instagram, you could just check me out on IFBB Pro Akim Williams on Instagram or even on Facebook, but mostly Instagram. I don't really do the Facebook thing like that anymore.
Video guys. All right, cool. Thank you so much for coming on. It's a pleasure. I'll see you at Strong and Shape soon. And good luck getting your qualification to the Arnold. And hopefully we'll see you at the New York Pro maybe.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah. Akim, it was an absolute pleasure, my friend, and wishing you a great, successful 24, my friend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And for everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. We are back every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Have a great night.
Good night.